So coming on to his more autobiographical, or at least topographical kind of writing, where he's thinking about his own place and the physical community of like people of the Black Mountain. You mentioned that has been really important, you know, in terms of the role of your mother, your role, Merryn's role, you know, but that kind of whole approach that he took, it obviously was important to him to write that, wasn't it? That picaresque journey. Or
well, he wrote Border Country, which is sort of where he came from. The second generation, that's moved to Oxford, and then the Fight for Malhood, it's moved back, sort of fictitious, sort of an imagined case in the same area. The whole people of the Black Mountains. He realised that this was a distinct area, and that it had a very, very long history, and he could write something about the ordinary people, sort of, which tends to get neglected.
yeah,
That was, my mother was mostly doing the research, and I saw early drafts of it, because I think he reorganised it somehow. Well, I'm sure his papers are somewhere, so the early drafts must be somewhere. I know that the current form is not what it was initially, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I think he's actually made it with visiting a sort of a outside visitor, and they're looking for they have memories of the past. It's actually imagining how the very first humans there might have lived, and going through, getting as far as medieval times, which is what he said in the book, how he would have continued it. It would make a lovely television, actually. I don't know if anyone could think of that, because it wouldn't be very expensive, and because it's all very local, but it inclusive, but it certainly, and it's all real. These people live there. Okay.
It would be fascinating to do that, wouldn't it? The kind of layers of time in one place. Yeah, it'd be really interesting. And Merryn, you said you were involved in People of the Black Mountain as well earlier.
Well, I knew that this book was being written. He worked on that right up to his last months. Well, we went over to Saffron Walden after he died, and my mother said that he hadn't been able to finish the book. She didn't know whether it ought to be published. So I think I spent an entire bank holiday weekend holed up with this typescript, which was also covered with corrections and Raymond's handwriting, which was not too easy to read. I think there may even have been a suggestion that I should finish it, but I could hardly do that.
Yeah, there were a couple of chapters, weren't there, that were kind of incomplete.
Yes.
Yeah, my mother did some of it. Yeah, it was I think only the last two are in any sense not complete, as far as I know. I don't know more, but it was pretty much, well, the bulk of it was mentioned in there, plus some ideas which never got written. Somebody could continue it.
Anyway, I was certain that it ought to be published.
Yeah.
And eventually it was, after some negotiation.
What do you think inspired him to write that at that point in his life? Do you think there was, I know you've all said he was never disconnected from Wales at all, was he? Clearly that ran through him all the way. It gave him security, and I guess it gave him confidence from what we've discussed. And that's certainly how I read him, and his response to you know, being in Cambridge never seems like he was feeling uncomfortable with his own origins. If anything, confident and celebratory of it in lots of ways. So I just wondered why you think he was, if that was something that was starting to happen. Did he know he was ill without sounding stupid? I don't know much about that part of his life, and I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to pry, but
he didn't know what was wrong. It was heart disease. He was unwell for the last 6 months. Kept expecting to get better.
Yeah.
I don't think he was unwell at the time he started the book. And also, back to where you were saying it a bit wider, the most ancient history said that we did say that the Welsh or Celtic identity was actually something that was brought by invaders, that they were themselves invaders. So if you look at the thing about, if you read it, the one about you have these Celts behaving like something a mix between a cross between punks and Hell's Angels, and against the older culture, which is perhaps what we now think of as Wales. That the Wales was synthesized from various things.
I like
it. Oh yes, there's this joke that these women, Celtic women, squabbling over a mirror, and it's mentioned in the book that they would actually have imagined two modern women squabbling over a mirror and they're told off that it's not part of the Welsh tradition, or sort of the reader would know that this was an echo of something very long ago. So it was actually felt that sometimes you get to, sometimes the Welsh really could be too narrow, and you
Going
always
back to your
of connection. Say Welsh European. He
Yes, he
defined
used
it.
that epithet quite a lot, didn't he? Yeah, yeah.
I guess so. You could look at it as an unusual sort of book in that it's not about people, it's about a place. And I think that is a reflection of the way that he thought about a lot of his life. I mean, we never, as I say, noticed in his political work that he in any way idolized any particular politician. I don't think, he was interested in their ideas, but he wasn't kind of a follower of X, Y, or Z. And I think the same in most of his writing. So, and if you think about it, almost every novel you could ever think of is about specific people, and is bringing out things about those people.
Yeah.
And it's quite unusual to write something that's about a place.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess that's because he felt much more attached to the place and the people in the place in a sort of general sense, and saw a lot more historical continuity in places than most people, or kind of interested in places.
Yeah, I think that's
I think
why
about an awful lot of novels, they flip from Hong Kong to New York,
of course.
and concentrate entirely on people.
Yeah.
And this was almost a way of saying the opposite, which is place is kind of
yeah, no, I think that runs through his work as well, doesn't it? His work on culture, his work on community, that incredibly important. That's why I was sort of curious about his physical relationship to, whether he walked, whether he was interested in, because I get a strong sense of that connection to the land without, overgeneralizing. But, and I guess that's what you're describing, this is a book about a place, not the people in the place. They're almost.
We only got it secondhand, but I mean, it was pretty strong.
Yeah,
people defined by a place, and they define the place.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah.